Jackson, and welcome to Emmy Day. It's LCJ Live. Happy Sunday to you. The Prime Time Emmy Awards. We just had one in January, but that's because of all that happened with the strikes. And now it's happening again. The 76th Annual Primetime Emmy Awards is tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern, live 5 p.m. Pacific on ABC. Hosted by Eugene and Dan Levy. That's why I've got his character here with me from that show he was on, Schitt's Creek, spelled differently than the swear word. We got a lot to talk about today on LCJ Live. The Emmy Awards, I will give my predictions coming up. We'll also talk about a film I got to see yesterday, which is Transformers 1. I got to see Transformers 1 yesterday, and I will get into it at a packed screening. A lot going on with that. We'll talk about that and the weekend box office as well. As always, send in your questions and your comments. I want to pull it up live here, hopefully in a moment. Here on LCJ Live, we'll get to the box office. We'll get to everything going on. Just give me 2 seconds. We're live. All right, very good. I hope it pulls up here with me in a second. But for now, let's get into the box office. Number one, Beetlejuice. Yes, $51.6 million for the second weekend of the Michael Keaton film from Tim Burton, from Warner Brothers. That's not as big of a drop as I expected. I expected a much bigger drop of like $45 million maybe. 51.6 is not bad. I think people are starting to get into the Halloween spirit, even though it's only the middle of September. And so, hey, they're going to see Beetlejuice, which is a film I don't particularly care for. But Warner Brothers is happy. $188 million is the total right now. It is just behind Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire, which made 196. Once it passes that, it's still got about $85-90 million, a little bit more, to pass Dune Part 2 to become the biggest Warner Brothers movie of the year. We will see if that happens. Comment from Robbie. Thanks for being here today, Robbie. Have you seen Rebel Ridge? I have not, but I've heard good things, so I may catch up on that. I still haven't seen a few films, but I'm seeing a lot of others, like Transformers 1 and some other big movies and some smaller films and some animated films and documentaries. There's a lot going on. And I'm watching TV too. I did a little binge ahead of the Primetime Emmys tonight with Season 2 of The Bear. I have not seen Season 3, but Season 2 is what's nominated tonight. So we'll get into all of that in a little bit. Oh, Fanimator saw Transformers 1 at that early screening. I'll come back to your comment in a minute. Let's get through the box office first. Number 2 this weekend is Speak No Evil. I thought this could do better. $11.5 million is another disappointment for Blumhouse off of Afraid, which only opened to 3.7 a couple weeks ago. Speak No Evil has been promoted for months. James McAvoy, horror thriller, remake of the film from a few years ago. And early screening, San Diego Comic-Con in July. The buzz on this was strong, but only $11.5 million on a Friday the 13th weekend. That is not good. Maybe because it's R, that held some people back. The teens who would want to go see it, I think it's R. So yeah, I have not seen this yet. I may catch up on it at some point. I like James McAvoy. I just think the trailers gave everything away, and that may have kept some people away as well. Regal's been punishing me with that Speak No Evil trailer for months, says Robbie. Yeah, and there were 2 or 3 different versions of it. So I think if you give away everything, you're not going to go to the movie. Number 3 this weekend, Deadpool and Wolverine added 5.2. It's at 621.5. It is now the 7th biggest Disney movie of all time. It's about to pass the Avengers to become number 6. It just passed The Last Jedi, and then I believe Inside Out 2 is either 5 or 4. So that is huge for Deadpool and Wolverine. Inside Out 2, by the way, is up to $652.5 million domestically. Number 4 this weekend is the documentary Am I Racist with $4.8 million. Number 5 is Reagan, which added $2.8 million. It's at 23.1. Number 6 is The Killer's Game. Lionsgate has had a rough few months. Some movies earlier this year did okay for Lionsgate, like Imaginary, Arthur the King, a few others. The Strangers Chapter 1, I believe, is still their biggest movie of the year. But lately, with Borderlands, The Crow, and now this, The Killer's Game, which only made $2.6 million this weekend, it has not been a good few months for Lionsgate. But that's not stopping the studio. Yes, they pushed the Mark Wahlberg Mel Gibson movie Flight Risk from October to January, but next week this week coming up, Halle Berry's film Never Let Go. Then the next week, it's Megalopolis from Francis Ford Coppola. And then on October 4, it's the long-awaited, and I mean long-awaited, Wonder spinoff White Bird, starring Helen Mirren, directed by Mark Forster. I loved Wonder. This movie is PG-13, so it's not going to bring in that family audience. I've always suspected from the first trailer that this was going to be more dramatic, more intense than Wonder, so that's going to keep some families and some people away. But Mark Forster has made some of my favorite movies the last 15, 17, 20 years. I think Finding Neverland's an excellent film. Stranger Than Fiction is very good. World War Z, an excellent action thriller. Christopher Robin, the live-action animated Winnie the Pooh movie from 2018, and A Man Called Otto from a couple years ago, which Tom Hanks deserved a Best Actor Oscar nomination for that performance. I think Sony just waited a little too long to get it out there in the awards season, but Tom Hanks, one of his best performances of the last 20, 25 years, is in A Man Called Otto. So look, that's 5 films from Mark Forster that I love. You know, I'm not saying automatically that means I'm going to love White Bird, but he is capable of making excellent films, and I hope that that is the case with White Bird. So Lionsgate is banking on 3 more movies before a little bit of a break, and then some other stuff before the end of the year and January. Number 7 this weekend. Oh, so The Killer's Game with $2.6 million. That is too bad, because I like the film. Yes, it's got plot problems. Yes, it's totally ridiculous. Yes, the last act had me laughing probably when I shouldn't be because of some goofy dialogue and things that happened. But I enjoyed myself with The Killer's Game more than I expected. And Dave Bautista, off of My Spy Eternal City, his best character, this may not be his best character, the one he plays in The Killer's Game, he gives a legitimately good performance, and I am ready for Dave Bautista to be in an Oscar caliber movie. I'm ready for him in a drama to just knock it out of the park. He's been talking about wanting to do a rom-com without action. There's a little rom-com in this, but some action. But I think he's also talked about wanting to be in a drama that gets him some Oscar nominations or award season nominations. And I think he's ready, and I think we're ready. This is kind of what I was saying with Melissa McCarthy for years. Yeah, she was in Bridesmaids. Yeah, she was in all these comedies. But I was ready and waiting for her to give the dramatic performance of a lifetime. And she's given that career to date in Can You Ever Forgive Me, which got her an Oscar nomination, got her award season nominations across the board. And yes, that movie, which I don't think is perfect, but it's got that first hour, which is sort of the sarcastic humor. She's done a lot of characters. And then when we get to that third act, it's just scene after scene, her knocking it out of the park dramatically. And so that's what I'm ready for Dave Bautista to show us, and I think he can do it. So give him a chance in a drama Hollywood. Get him a good dramatic role. Number 7 this weekend is Alien Romulus, which added $2.4 million. It is at 101.3. It passed 100 million for 20th Century. Number 8, It Ends With Us, $2 million. It's at 144.9. Number 9, The Forge, also $2 million. It's at 24.1. And rounding out your top 10 this weekend is the new documentary and dramatic film God's Not Dead and God We Trust, which made $1.5 million. It's at 1.8 million total because it opened on Thursday. It was a Fathom Events release. Outside the top 10, My Old Ass, which I saw last Monday. I wanted it to be good. It's not. It opened in 7 theaters with $172,000. That's a per screen average of $24,500. We're waiting on the money for the 4:30 movie, which is from Kevin Smith. We're waiting on the money for The Critic with Ian McKellen. He's great. The movie's got problems, but if you're interested in a film about criticism and the power of critics, go see Ian McKellen in The Critic. And Twister's added 1.2. It's at 266.4. Despicable Me 4 added 1.1. It is at 359.4. The Front Room dropped. It had a low open last weekend. It dropped big anyway, down to 428,000. With a total of 2.7. It's in the top 5 for the year for A24, but not making much money. Okay, we're going to get to the Emmys in a second, but I'm coming back to Fanimator's comment. Saw Transformers 1 at an early screening yesterday, and wow, that's the best Transformers movie, it says of the year, but probably maybe ever. That's what a lot of people were saying coming out of my showing yesterday. Now I can't wait for The Wild Robot in 2 weeks. So here's the thing. I saw Transformers 1 yesterday as well. There were like 100, 150 people at the showing yesterday. I really like Transformers 1. It is visually interesting from the get-go. Looking at the Transformers characters, how they move, the depth of the backgrounds, how they talk, how they transform, obviously. And then there's some very cool sequences, how they make the characters move, how the roads in front of them move. There's a point where we go to a location with mountains and how the mountains appear. I kept waiting for the Paramount Stars to be around something. That would have been funny. Um, how we look at it, it's so scenic. It's so visually interesting. And then the story, which has been talked about a lot, and I didn't want to know a lot going in, so I'm not going to say much. But what I will say is it delivers, and the voice cast delivers. Chris Hemsworth, Scarlett Johansson, Brian Tyree Henry, Keegan-Michael Key, John Hamm, Lawrence Fishburne, Steve Buscemi. They're the main voice actors in this. There's others as well. This story is going to make a lot of Transformers fans happy. The action sequences, including a thrilling finale. And I rarely use the word thrilling, but it's a thrilling finale. The comedy works. There were big laughs in key moments in the room. The drama works. The escalation of drama works. The origin story is strong. Josh Cooley directed this. He directed Toy Story 4, won an Oscar for that. And just like he did with Toy Story 4, it shows the power of toys coming to life and sort of that imagination. If we were kids or for kids, what we would say if we had these Transformers in our hands and we were moving them around and they were fighting each other and they were having fun with each other and they were discovering new places with each other. You get a lot of that dialogue in the dialogue from Bumblebee and other characters. So it's a win. And it's going to make more money than you think it's going to make. If you've got 20 million on this, bump it to 30. The word of mouth will be incredibly strong. Many quotes out there that say this is the best Transformers movie ever. Now, I never saw the animated film from the 80s, but I've seen all the Transformers movies that have come since from Michael Bay, who is a producer on this. I've seen them all, and this is better than pretty much all of those. Yes, the original one from 2007 still has that magic to it, but you get that magic out of this. I mean, this is the impact of Spider-Verse. Spider-Verse 2018, people said, oh my gosh, I never realized the power of this character and this brand and CG animation and where everybody could go. And so you see that here again in Transformers 1, which I will say, look at what Paramount's done the last many years. They've built an animated franchise of SpongeBob movies. They've built it with Paw Patrol movies, Sonic the Hedgehog movies, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies. They want to build a franchise out of these Transformers movies. Expect another one in 3 years. Expect a continuation of this story. This is going to be very strong. I think it can win the box office next weekend against week 3 of Beetlejuice. It's got to do 30, 35 million to do it. I think it can. Yes, Wild Robot is right after, and that's getting a lot of buzz. Families will go to both. They'll spread things out. The Transformers fans of all ages are going to want to see this right away. Believe the hype that it's the best Transformers movie. Believe it, because I'm telling you it. I agree with it. It is probably the best animated movie I've seen this year. I really like Spy X Family Code White, which a lot of people didn't see. It's very fun. As far as an animated movie experience, to me, this is probably number 1. Just above that. I've seen some others. I still have to see Wild Robot, and Memoir of a Snail is getting buzz. Moana 2 is coming out. And the Wallace and Gromit movie, if we're getting that before the end of the year. That Christmas from Netflix as well, and a few others. But to me, when I look at the year in animation, box office-wise, you've had Inside Out 2, which I thought was alright. Despicable Me 4, same thing. Alright, great final scene. Kung Fu Panda 4, not my favorite of the franchise. The Garfield movie has its scenes, has its moments, not amazing. And then there's been a few smaller ones and other ones that have snuck in, but I think this is the best experience and overall animated film I've seen so far this year. So go see Transformers 1 when it opens this week. It's got to make at least 30, 35 million or more. And the audience reaction, I mean, people were wearing t-shirts, people were buying the buckets, everything was happening yesterday, and the audience reaction was strong and well deserved. We got to get to the Emmy nominations, I know, in the show tonight. I do want to mention opening as well in theaters, as I said, Never Let Go. Wolves, the George Clooney Brad Pitt movie in select theaters before it goes to Apple next Friday. A Different Man with Sebastian Stan opens in limited release. The Substance, which I will be seeing this week with Demi Moore, getting a lot of Best Actress buzz for her performance in that. Superman, the Christopher Reeve story, opens Saturday in theaters nationwide, as well as the following Wednesday, the 25th. I'm looking forward to seeing that. And new for television, Caitlin Olsen from the very funny show It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia has a new show on ABC on Tuesday called High Potential. The Emmys are tonight. The Bears swept last year. It could do it again. I like a lot of aspects of season 2. Is it a comedy? No, not really. Some episodes more fall in line with a comedy than others. But you could see that win, although I would love the final season of Curb Your Enthusiasm. Wouldn't that be a great send-off for Curb? Best comedy series and or best actor in a comedy series for Larry David. That would be something. Jeremy Allen White won last year. Maybe give it to Larry David this time. That would be interesting. You've got Quinta Brunson, Selena Gomez facing off against Iowa Debris. Maybe Jean Smart sneaks in again for Hacks in the actress in a comedy series category. In the drama series category, you have a lot of nominations this year for The Morning Show. A show that I watched all of season 3 of a while back. And it's kind of guilty pleasure. I mean, it's so ridiculous, but it could have ended with season 3, and yet they're going forward with season 4, which is very interesting. So it could be a good night for The Morning Show, maybe, but Shogun has a ton of nominations. Also, The Gilded Age, filmed near me in upstate New York, and back again recently, is up for Outstanding Drama Series. What else we got tonight? A ton of acting categories, as usual. Some writing, some directing. Big names in some of the categories. Yeah, I mean, a couple canceled shows, right? Winning Time is nominated for directing in a drama series. We got a couple multiple nominations in here. We got Jen and Reese facing off against each other for actress. John Hamm is a multiple nominee. We got the multiple nominees, Steve Martin, Martin Short for Only Murders in the Building. We got talk series, variety competition show. The Traitors has been doing pretty well recently. Maybe that wins for that. So we'll see what happens tonight at the Prime Time Emmy Awards, which you can watch at 8 o'clock on ABC. Scott Stallion, Wish Rebel Ridge was in theaters. Netflix makes those decisions on what goes into theaters and what does not. What's your favorite film filmed by you in upstate New York? That's a great question. There will always be a special place in my heart for Salt because I saw Angelina film the scene on the trucks. I was down below and I saw her up there with the stunt person, and there was really nobody else around, and that was back in the summer of 2009, so I'll always remember that. I saw a little bit of the filming of The Other Guys as well, that opening action chase scene with the cars. I didn't see Dwayne or Samuel L. Jackson, but I saw the cars go by down the streets. What are other good ones? I mean, I'm blanking on a few, but obviously Place Beyond the Pines comes to mind. A film I didn't love. I don't love Place Beyond the Pines. It's one of the most noteworthy ones for this area. A lot of television in this area as well over the years, but Place Beyond the Pines, I like Ryan Gosling in it a lot. The performances are solid, but the way the structure is, I'm not a complete fan of. So I don't quite love that movie as much as other people do. But Salt, I'll always have a special place in my heart for Salt. When we're back here next Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern for LCJ Live, I'll talk about the Transformers 1 box office. We'll talk about The Substance with Demi Moore. We'll talk about the Christopher Reeve documentary as well. I may see Wolves by then, so I'll let you know about that as well. And we'll preview The Wild Robot coming to the box office, going up against Megalopolis and more for the end of September. And yeah, go see Transformers 1 and enjoy the Emmys tonight. For more, go to lcj.podbean.com, animationscoop.com, lights-camera-jackson.com. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Twitter X at LCJ Reviews. I'll be posting some stuff on the Emmys tonight. Instagram at LightsCamJackson. Thanks for being here for today's episode of LCJ Live. I appreciate it. Also, by the way, this Friday, His Three Daughters goes to Netflix. And Mike Sargent and I review that along with Beetlejuice at TooFastTwoFilms.com. Thanks for being here for LCJ Live. Happy Emmy Day. Have a good night. And tomorrow night, fly, Eagles, fly. Take care. Bye-bye.